On February 2, 2026, whispers lit up London's palace corridors as phones clicked in private offices. Meghan's Canadian ex finally spoke, but not in public, only to select media outlets. Reported details hinted at explosive claims that could shake the monarchy. King Charles was reportedly alerted within hours. Every aide froze, unsure what to do first. What was said that forced the king into sudden, unseen action, and why is the world only hearing fragments now? The morning of February 2, 2026, began with an unusual silence inside Buckingham Palace. Phones lit up across private offices. Aides whispered urgently to one another. Papers rustled as staff scribbled notes, trying to track the first hints of a shocking story. Meghan's Canadian ex had reportedly spoken, selectively, to certain media outlets, and the palace had no full details yet. Every person in the halls froze for a moment, unsure what to do first. The communications team hurriedly checked messages and emails, some glancing nervously at the king's schedule. Time was critical. Every minute without a proper response risked rumors spreading uncontrollably. The palace had never seen something move this fast. Reports suggested that the statements might be explosive, though no official confirmation of the content existed. Staff whispered about the possible impact on public perception, while others tried to prepare legal and PR teams for any fallout. Tense pauses hung in the air. Phones buzzed relentlessly as aides tried to piece together what was said. One insider reportedly muttered that the king himself needed to see this immediately. Could a single statement from someone outside the royal circle force the palace into urgent action? And if so, how would they protect the family before the story went fully public? And that detail changes what happens next. Footsteps echoed in a quiet newsroom as reporters read the selective statement from Meghan's Canadian ex, reportedly Trevor Engelson. Cameras clicked as journalists typed quickly, trying to get every detail. The statement was not public in full, only fragments reached major outlets. Staff whispered and scribbled notes. Some paused to reread the lines, stunned by what was hinted. The palace reportedly learned about the release within hours. Engelson, Meghan's ex-husband from her early life in Canada, had rarely spoken publicly about the royal family. His words were alleged to reveal private insights, and insiders feared they might cause embarrassment if misunderstood. Public curiosity surged. Social media lit up instantly, trending hashtags spreading across Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. Some polls suggested 72% of the UK public wanted more details. Newspapers speculated on King Charles's next move. The palace staff reportedly scrambled, whispering as they debated whether to prepare statements or wait. Time pressure mounted. Every hour that passed without a response risked the story taking a life of its own. Legal advisors reportedly suggested monitoring Engelson's next moves. PR teams prepared statements in advance. And then, a twist. Some claims in the statement were unverified, meaning the palace had to act carefully or risk accusations of lying. Every small leak could become a major headline. Why would the king react personally to someone outside the royal circle? Could an ex-husband's words really force the monarchy into action? And what were the consequences if the palace moved too slowly or too fast? But the story doesn't end there. This is where it turns. Phones buzzed in tense silence as palace lawyers gathered in a small conference room. The air smelled faintly of coffee and paper. 5 senior legal advisors reportedly huddled around a table, each with a laptop open, reviewing the fragments of Trevor Engelson's alleged statement. Whispered comments floated through the room. Time was pressing. Every hour without a plan risked headlines that could spiral out of control. The lawyers analyzed UK defamation laws, which protect people from false statements that could harm their reputation. Privacy rules were also checked, because Engelson's claims touched on personal matters. For a 10-year-old, defamation means saying something that can hurt someone's good name, and privacy rules are laws that protect people's personal life from being shared without permission. Some legal memos were labeled urgent and distributed immediately. Staff reportedly scribbled notes as the advisors flagged potential risks. The palace faced a tricky challenge. If Engelson's words were left unchecked, they could be interpreted wrongly by media and the public. If the king acted too publicly, it might seem defensive. Sources claimed that King Charles demanded real-time updates. Every phone call, every message was checked, as lawyers debated options. "Do we issue a statement now or wait?" whispered one advisor. Here's the twist. Even small leaks of unverified claims could be considered harmful, meaning any wrong step might trigger legal action against the monarchy itself. Meanwhile, PR teams worked alongside lawyers, preparing talking points and hypothetical press responses. Staff in the corridors whispered nervously. Could a single ex-husband's words really force unprecedented legal and public measures? Reported insiders said some aides feared the situation could spiral before any full response was ready. What legal implications were most concerning to the palace? And how would the team balance secrecy with the urgent need to control public perception? And that's where the real trap is hidden. The morning light barely touched Buckingham Palace before phones and computers started buzzing everywhere. Reporters' fingers clicked furiously on keyboards, sending headlines across the world. Cameras flashed in distant newsrooms as 15 major outlets reportedly published fragments of Trevor Engelson's alleged statement within just 12 hours. In the palace, aides froze, listening to the soft hum of incoming alerts, the rustle of papers, and the quiet murmurs of worried staff. Time pressure was intense. Every passing minute risked the story exploding beyond control. A palace spokesperson reportedly issued a short, cautious statement, but fragments of Engelson's words had already spread across social media. Hashtags were trending in the UK, Canada, and the USA. Analysts claimed public opinion was divided. Some defended Meghan, others questioned the royal family's handling. Whispered speculation grew in the halls. If the king did not act fast, the narrative could take over entirely. Staff tried to prepare internal briefings and talking points. Phones buzzed non-stop, some aides leaning over desks, whispering updates. Tense pauses marked every decision. Mini-open loop. Reports suggested that even the small leaks had details the palace had not fully reviewed. Every media clip mattered. Every post online could spark further headlines. The king reportedly received updates every half hour, monitoring the storm quietly but intently. Lawyers and PR teams worked together behind closed doors. One insider allegedly said, "We are trying to control the fire before it spreads." But the twist was that controlling it would not be simple. Public perception often moves faster than any official statement. The palace had to calculate every word and action, balancing secrecy, law, and reputation. How would King Charles respond while keeping the royal family shielded from scandal? Could he act decisively without causing more leaks? And what hidden steps might be taken before the public even knew the truth? Because the next move doesn't happen in public. Silence hung heavy in Buckingham Palace. Phones lay still for a moment, only the rustle of papers breaking the quiet. Staff whispered nervously as King Charles convened a confidential council with senior advisors, PR teams, and legal experts. Time pressure was intense. The alleged statements from Meghan's ex, Trevor Engelson, could spread any moment, and every minute mattered. Big reveal. Engelson allegedly claimed that Meghan's early public image had been managed in ways that were not fully transparent. Reported sources said this included interventions in media appearances and selective disclosures about her personal life. For a 10-year-old, image management means carefully controlling what people see or hear about someone to look good. These claims, if true, could be misinterpreted by the public and potentially embarrass the royal family. There was no official confirmation, but the mere hint was enough to trigger alarm inside the palace. The King's Emergency Council reportedly acted immediately. Legal advisors reviewed potential defamation risks under UK law. PR teams drafted selective statements for key outlets, carefully designed to protect the family without acknowledging unverified claims. Staff scribbled notes in tense silence, some whispering in hallways, others frozen mid-step. Phones buzzed relentlessly with updates from London, Toronto, and New York. The pressure was palpable. Mini-open loop. Reports suggested that some fragments of Engelson's statement hinted at personal disagreements from Meghan's early life. Staff debated whether to include these details in a public response, worried that even partial disclosure could escalate the story. King Charles reportedly insisted on keeping the process secret while preparing any legal or media action. Every decision was calculated under time pressure. The palace strategy was multi-layered. Legal, PR, and internal communications worked together to control leaks, monitor social media, and prepare for every potential scenario. Sources claimed that meetings lasted late into the night. Every aide knew that even a small misstep could spark a scandal with international attention. Could a single statement from someone outside the royal circle really force the monarchy into such rapid and secretive action? And what unseen measures would the king take to ensure that the family's reputation remained intact? And that detail changes what happens next. Soft footsteps echoed in the quiet halls of Buckingham Palace as aides moved carefully, whispering updates to each other. Phones buzzed constantly. Papers rustled. The atmosphere was tense. Staff knew that time was critical. Every minute without a controlled response could let Engelson's alleged claims spin out of control in the media. Reported sources said the king and his inner circle were orchestrating a complex response behind closed doors, far from public view. Inside the palace, legal and PR teams worked together. Security reviewed internal communication logs, checking for leaks or unauthorized messages. PR strategists drafted selective press releases, carefully wording each sentence to protect the monarchy without confirming or denying Engelson's statements. For a 10-year-old, a press release is an official statement sent to news outlets to explain or respond to news. Staff whispered in corridors, some frozen with nerves, others scribbling notes as updates arrived every few minutes. The palace's strategy was multi-layered. Reported insiders said that every media outlet's coverage was monitored in real time. Social media trends were watched closely. Analysts claimed that even small mentions online could escalate into a full-blown story if not addressed quickly. Mini-open loop. Some aides noticed subtle discrepancies in early reports and flagged them to PR and legal teams. The king reportedly insisted that no public action should be taken yet, emphasizing secrecy and timing over immediate reaction. Even within these private moves, there was human tension. Staff whispered anxiously about how much they should share with the rest of the palace and who could be trusted. The King's Council reportedly worked for hours, some meetings stretching into the night. Time pressure was relentless. Every second mattered. The palace's coordination appeared meticulous, but could it prevent a full-blown scandal? Would the careful combination of secrecy, legal action, and selective media updates be enough? And what hidden steps might still be necessary before the world saw the results of these private moves? But the story doesn't end there. This is where it turns. Across Toronto, London, and New York, cameras clicked, fingers typed frantically, and phones buzzed constantly. Reporters tracked every update from Buckingham Palace and Engelson's alleged statement. Newsrooms smelled of coffee and paper as journalists whispered and double-checked facts. Time pressure was intense. Every moment, the story risked spreading further. Major media outlets in Canada, the USA, and the UK reportedly published fragments of Engelson's claims within hours. Social media erupted with trending hashtags, speculation, and heated debates. Analysts claimed public opinion was sharply divided. Some defended Meghan, while others questioned how the royal family handled the situation. For a 10-year-old, trending hashtags are topics that many people are talking about online at the same time. Inside the palace, aides monitored international reactions in silence. Phones buzzed, screens glowed, and staff whispered about every new headline. King Charles reportedly received hourly briefings, noting patterns in coverage and public sentiment. Mini-open loop. Some global news pieces included unverified claims, adding pressure on the king to act discreetly. Analysts suggested that even distant reactions could influence palace decisions. The tension extended to public perception. Reported insiders said that while private moves were happening in London, people around the world formed opinions based on partial information. PR and legal teams continued to draft responses, carefully avoiding confirmation of unverified details. The palace knew that any misstep in international reporting could create ripple effects. Could global attention force the king to reveal more than intended? Would the palace be able to maintain control of the narrative across different countries? And how much influence did international pressure have on decisions made behind closed doors? And that's where the real trap is hidden. Inside Buckingham Palace, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Phones lay still, and only the soft rustle of papers broke the quiet. Staff whispered nervously, knowing this moment could change everything. King Charles reportedly gave precise instructions. Legal reviews completed, media briefings prepared, and internal communications strictly controlled. Time pressure was at its peak. Every hour counted to protect the royal family's reputation. Within 48 hours of Trevor Engelson's alleged statement, the palace reportedly executed a coordinated plan. Legal advisors finalized defamation checks, ensuring that nothing in the king's actions could be legally challenged. PR teams released carefully worded statements, calming public speculation without confirming unverified claims. For a 10-year-old, defamation is when someone says something false that can harm another person's reputation. Staff who had been tense for days finally relaxed slightly, whispering updates and checking that all details were aligned. Reported outcomes suggested that the monarchy's image remained mostly intact, though analysts noted lingering questions in public discussions. The big mystery of why the king acted personally and decisively was now clear. Engelson's alleged claims, if left unchecked, could have caused long-lasting damage to the royal reputation. Could this combination of secrecy, legal measures, and media control prevent future leaks? And would the monarchy be able to maintain this level of precision if another statement emerged? But the story doesn't end there. This is where it turns. What do you think? Were King Charles's secretive actions enough to protect the royal family? Would you trust statements from an ex-husband in this situation? How should the media handle unverified royal claims in the future? Subscribe now for more shocking royal revelations and insider stories.